Your boy got a 5th encyclopedia. I don't know how unpopular of an opinion what I'm about to say is, but recently I was catching up on Ninjago. I stopped watching after March of the Oni, but recently got back into it after a trip to Legoland. So I watched seasons 11 to 15, which my comment section told me was the lowest point in the series. The 11-minute format was a mistake, all the characters are NPCs. Honestly, I went into this era with pretty low standards, but I still really enjoyed it and feel this era is massively overhated, and I might actually prefer it to the Will Film era. And hey, there's no bias here. This is coming from an OG Ninjago fan who's watched the show since it first aired. Now yes, there are obvious improvements. The animation had a huge upgrade between seasons 10 and 11. The way Spinjitzu looks so much more unique per person is just ooh, chef's kiss. Fight scenes are so much more fluid and fast-paced. The characters are so much more expressive in their faces and their body language. In fact, just the way the characters move in general in any scene is so much less stiff than it was in the original seasons. If you go back and watch something like Tournament of Elements and the battles in there, it feels a lot slower and like the characters are a lot more rigid in how they can move. For redesigns, absolutely an upgrade. For everyone but Kai. RIP Kai's OG hair, your inability to be made into an accurate minifigure piece will be missed. To be fair, Lloyd had a similar issue, but I mean, it's like one strand of hair that's not accurate, so it's fine. Nia also actually has her own face now, as opposed to just the generic girl face. And Lloyd has his own face and hair instead of just being a blonde carbon copy of his dad. Jay also looks a lot friendlier and not like he's serving 2 life sentences, and I think that's just a lot more accurate to his character and how he is. I mean, yeah, post redesigns, personality-wise, he gets a little wimpier, but I feel like that's just him learning to be less of a dick now that he's in a loving relationship and doesn't feel as inferior to the rest of the ninja. He's proved himself multiple times, everyone likes and trusts him and treats him as an equal. But that's all obvious stuff. So besides the visual aspects, what else do I enjoy about the series more than the Will Film era? Well, open your audio orifices as I'm about to explain. Audio orifices? What does that even mean? Why did I put that in the script? I really don't see a lot of people talk about the more subtle moments that are usually in the background where characters are just kind of doing stuff. Yeah, there's the stuff that gets more attention, like Cole parenting the Wampa in the Netherrealm because, God, this man was born to be a dad, and if I get to Dragon's Rising and he doesn't have a family like Farm World, Finn and Fiona and Cake, I'm going to be very sad and respect the writer's decisions. But there are also other things that you'll see characters just doing in the background or that they mention doing that add a lot to said character and makes them more interesting. For example, Jay and Nia in this scene that I'm showing now are immediately like, ooh, a sliding puzzle, let's solve it together. You can see them going like, okay, this goes here, you move this one here, and it implies that they do stuff like this all the time for fun. Same with dancing. They mention it's a couple thing they do in Prime Empire, and then they pay that off in Seabound with them showing off a move they created playing an arcade game. Littler moments like this make scenes like this hit so much harder, and I'm so sorry future me editing this because you have to look at this footage again and I know you're crying like a little bitch. It's okay, let it out. Moments like these, while not non-existent in the Will Film era, are a lot fewer and further between. Couples in the team specifically have far less moments that flesh out their relationships with each other. They're also great separately in this era, especially Nia. God, she really got a mad glow up in every way in this era. I absolutely adore how she's now the short-tempered one, an impulsive team member the others have to calm down. Not that she didn't have her moments before this, but it's a lot more prevalent here and makes sense, as by this point, she's probably around the same age Kai was in the pilot when he acted like this. It's just fun to watch and makes her and Jay's personalities contrast more as he's now mellowed out and softened over the course of the series. And also gained freckles? Now, I will admit, not all characters are big improvements. But like, come on, let's not act like Kai and Lloyd didn't have 10 seasons before this where they took turns being the main focus with a few exceptions. One of said exceptions being retconned from the timeline.
Wibbly wobbly, timey wimey.
It just feels significantly more balanced in this era, and like everyone gets equal attention from the writers. I'm gonna be honest, I think WildBrain Wu makes Will Film Wu look like an absolute chump. A bum. A beta male, if you will. It's kind of a running joke in the fandom that every season the big bad is someone from Wu's past he knew would return one day and never mentioned. Which, by the way, not as frequent of an occurrence in this era. There's a Sphera, but besides her, Wu wouldn't have known about any of them. Wu also gets to be a lot more active in the adventures here than just sending the ninja into battle while chilling on a boat or on a mountain. Before they mess up his plans, he planned to go and rescue Zane alone, and honestly I'm sad he lost the scroll so fast because this shit was so cold. Then he comes with them in Master of the Mountain and learns life lessons while he's there, showing that you're never too old to learn or change your outlook. He was there at the final fight with the Overlord as well. He's just way more involved, and I think it's partially due to him growing up again in the Oni trilogy, and the writers realizing that, hey, he can be just as interesting and entertaining on the adventures than on the sidelines. Also, I love his backstory with Asphira, and no one can convince me that they did not like each other. I mean, he got really aggressive when Garmadon insulted her, and in Crystallized, she says this to him?
Dreaming about defeating the treacherous deceiver in a variety of ways.
I'm sorry, but what other context am I supposed to take this in? Also, I just love this specific line delivery from Seabound. It just makes me laugh every time.
What is it, Cole?
He's just so disgusted by Cole's existence, it's great. Overall, he's written to be a lot more involved in the plot and the ninjas' lives, and to be generally more likable and, well, more of a happy old man rather than a mysterious aura-farming dick. There's a lot more episodes in this era that people seem to treat as padding, as there's more episodes per season, so, you know, it kind of makes sense. For example, the first arc in this era has an episode dedicated to the newspaper delivery kids, and another episode for the Ninjago news team. Honestly, though, these were some of my favorites from the entire series. I don't have a lot to say about the slice of life genre in general, but these episodes were great as we're seeing a giant ninja versus big evil army battle in the city from new perspectives, and that's such a refreshing new concept, especially after so many seasons and so many types of battles having happened before seeing how completely unfazed and over it everyone is in the city when there's a crisis is really funny and a treat for long-time fans. A lot of the time you kind of feel the same way, like, oh my god, another attack on Ninjago City? How is there even a city left? And seeing even the kids of the city just try and find ways to go about their days when these sorts of situations happen is both funny and endearing, as it just really warms my heart to see that no matter what happens, there's still a tight and thriving community in the city that looks out for each other and isn't completely helpless. There's also characters like Okino, who are really endearing as they keep doing what's right, despite the revelation that their life is a lie and they're not real. Humans are the most adaptable species on the planet, and these episodes prove it. And that's why I fucking love them. I will admit, most of the villains in this era don't hold a candle to the Will Film era villains. Skull Sorcerer, Mechanic, get the fuck out of here, nobody cares. But there are some villains that I love for very specific reasons, namely Unagami and the Ice Emperor. I mean, the concept of one of the ninja being a main villain after going insane after years in a new realm with the scroll that makes you the definition of aura? My only issue is that they didn't commit to him being in control of his faculties, and I really wanted him to more slowly go insane and lose himself to the scroll after maybe centuries in this harsh and unfamiliar environment. Also, sidebar, why do they keep killing Zane? My poor girl. Pixel gets some world-class lines every time she thinks she has to mourn this tin can, and then he's just like, hey babe, I'm back from the store with milk. It's so funny. Unagami I also find really interesting, namely because most villains in this series aren't really tragic or complicated. I mean, yeah, Garmadon, Moro, Harumi are all obvious exceptions, but most are just knowingly evil. Unagami is tragic as he truly thought he was making his dad proud, only to be abandoned with no explanations. And what really makes him a standout for me is that he actually got a happy ending. He didn't invade the city or try to do whatever the hell the mechanic wanted him to do. He just wanted to get closure from his creator, and the climax is just the two of them making up and finally understanding each other. And they live happily ever after, unlike every other Ninjago antagonist, sympathetic or otherwise. So while the Ice Emperor concept may not have been fully realized, I do appreciate what they attempted with some of the villains in this era. I don't have a lot to say here, but given I made a whole video on him, I'd be amiss if I didn't at least mention that my boy gets his own season. Let's go! I love everything about this arc. I love his relationship with Vanya. She is such a yapper and he's such a good listener. They go together like peanut butter and jelly. I love the lore drops we get about his family. I love the goobers he meets. I love his relationship with Wu, the little goobers the others meet, the drip, the swords. I love that he finally has a leading role. This is everything I said I wanted in my last video, and I'm so glad I finally watched it and that Kirby Morrow was able to be a part of it. God rest his soul. I think the reason I like this era a lot more than the Will Film era, maybe, you know what, I'm still not entirely certain on that. I might have to rewatch the Will Film era to make a definitive claim about that. But I think the reason I enjoyed it so much more than I thought I would, again, It's just the little things. Stuff certain characters do in the background that fleshes them out more. The improved animation and fluidity of fight scenes. Even the spinjitzu gives another layer of individuality to all of them, as each tornado looks completely different. Wu has subtly changed in this era to be more likable. My favorite episodes have been about characters just doing their jobs in smaller stake situations where they're just trying to go about their day in the middle of a giant crisis. And of course, Cole finally got a season. I can now die happy. Thank you for watching this video. I have a lot more Ninjago related content on this channel if you want to check that out, both good and bad, and a bunch of other videos where I just yap about whatever hyperfixation I have that week. So please do consider subscribing, giving those a watch, and I'll see you next time.